Good evening. I'm here tonight. I wanted to show you a deck I just purchased, and it's one I saw on Etsy, and it is by Carmen Sorrenti, and she has a website with more of her artwork. She does more than just tarot. But this deck is this is a limited edition, 9 of 200, but she does have the regular edition. This is, Pholarcos Tarot deck, limited edition, indie tarot with guidebook. But there is a regular Pholarcos Tarot, so you could still get it. And this was not nearly sold out when the 1 of 200 of the sort of, I guess, deluxe edition is what I would call it. But this deck, some people might say it's for shadow work, but I think it's really more a deck that calls me to be introspective. Now, some would call that shadow work, but it's not always. Sometimes, we think about where we are as a race, where humanity is going, and when we think of that sort of futuristic sense, we think about blasting off into the stars and heading out into another world. But actually, the journey inward is just as vast and daunting as that sort of future galactic travel. And I think this deck sort of really helps me go inside, maybe on those times when I need to be introspective. I really don't think introspection means the same thing as shadow work. For some people it may, and that's fine. I'm just saying, in my brain, that's not how I separate them. But on the back it says, "You plunge and surge into a shore of deep belonging. Now you are vast. The waters of love dissolve your mold, yet passion is always glistening inside you, setting a course for life." And this deck is based on myth. Preside over the mysteries so they may make a map for you. And I sort of believe that. But I wanted to go through the book. This is the back. This is what the back looks like. Some people won't like that because it's not reversible. But this is not a deck. I don't read reversals anyway. I do, but in my own way. Every card is a full open door for all of its meanings, and that's how I read reversals. Positive, negative, however that card hits me based on the question and whatever it is that we connect to, that intuition tells me which way that card goes. But the backs, I love this. It's sort of this feeling of this really earth-bound, connected female character. I believe this is what you call the Kundalini. I'm not really sure. But then almost her hair almost looks like a mountaintop to me, like a mountain. So she's almost embedded in the earth, or a part of the earth. I'm not sure if that's what's going on here because I haven't read a lot yet. But this book, the guidebook, I haven't read all of it, but I sat last night and I read through maybe the first 5 cards and the descriptions. And for this deck to be so small, it's 40 pages. She has written more in this 40-page booklet. She says so much with few words, more than some of the 150-page booklets that I have, and it's phenomenal. But let me read this little bit here. "I come from mountains that plunge into the sea. The elements are forceful here, and the area is dear to old myths. In some versions, it is where Odysseus had himself tied to the mast of his ship to resist the onslaught of siren song. Greek colonies settled along the coast, and not far south was a place called Velia, where Perimendes lived in the 5th century BC. Pholarcos was lord of the lair, one who enters a cave, and I'm going to leave it there, but this cave led to dreams and sort of soothsaying or connection to the world or messages from spirit, however that works. The name of the suits have changed. Sparks, here essence sparks into life, potency ignites, spirals, incarnation spirals in, spirals back out, breathes in, breathes out, wings, soar through realms of consciousness, conceive reality, and coral. Once a year, all coral around the globe spawns in unison. So I don't have a problem, especially the way this deck is. I don't have any issues. Normally, I don't like decks that change suit names and that sort of thing. But this deck I ordered from Etsy, and it came from 10 Bunny Mystic. 10 BUNNYMYSTIC, and they're in Los Angeles, California. So I will leave a link to their website or their shop here in the comments below. It came with this bag, and instead of it being that normal sort of satin bag, it's linen, and it's really nice. And I've got little cat hairs on it. I don't know if you can see those or not, but that's just extra love right there. Cat hair. Yep. See, just a bunch of extra love. I love my cats. I love our cats. We have between the three of us, my wife and my son. But just a really nice linen bag, and it has that nice linen feel to it, and it has a nice give. And this deck fits snugly inside of it. It's like a perfect fit. As you can see on this on the front, this is one of the cards. I forgot which one right off, but she is in the cave. So a lot of these images are a little bit darker, and you'll see the faces and then the darkness around, because they are in the cave of mysteries. They are asleep in the dream world, in the dreamland, and I think you'll get that theme through this deck. But this is, to me, it strikes me as being very, very powerful for me. Beautiful matte cardstock. It's not that matte that's like sticky that people have a hard time with. It doesn't slide, but I don't think it's going to be one of those decks that I shuffle and read with a lot. It's one that I will maybe use as an oracle from time to time, but it's not one I would read for other people with. It's one I will use personally, maybe for journaling, if I can ever get back into the habit of journaling. And it has this beautiful matte edging, which I just adore. It's something I've seen. It seems to me more decks are doing this lately. It's, the decks that it suits the art style. So this is the title card, certificate of authorization, and it has the artist name, April 13th, 2024. So just a double-sided card. So the Fool. The unconscious speaks in dreams, and within this terrain we alchemize our beings. Will you follow your dream guide across the tracks? You sit unsuspecting under the white pine as the snake slips into your ear. The vital force whose knowledge is unsurpassed takes you through the varied ends of consciousness. This your pilgrimage to life. Where will vision and swift feet take you? So I just think that it's absolutely beautiful. I'm going to read another one so you can get an image. Now, this is the Magician, and if you'll notice, it is, in essence, a singular entity. She is the moon, he is the sun, and they're drinking from each other's cups. And this will just give you a better idea of how the rest of the deck goes. Mercurius, male and female both, orchestrator and instrument, dreamer and dreamed, begins the alchemical operations, that each voice may partake in the great unfolding. The male head drinks from the wolf and her moon, while the female head sips the dragon and his son. Thus opposites unite. The sky measures time that we may know what is ripe and what is moving. Stones, waves, roots will do the same if you can perceive the echo. There's a lot of references in this deck to alchemy. It's the Emperor, very dreamlike. There's a lot of information here to think about. I love how she did the titles. It's still there. I, for one, sort of need that. But I think that that's very helpful. Some people would prefer it not be there, so you have just the image. That's fine. I like it. I like the fact that it's very small. The Lovers. This mix of color here, the use of color. That's number 6. Venus drops her precious stones in your bloodstream, and Vulcan nimbly makes jewels of them. You plunge and surge onto a shore of deep belonging. Now you are vast. The waters of love dissolve your mold, yet passion is always glistening inside you, setting a course for life, not only now. Within the fiery dragon of the heart is a lookout point. Keep the taste on your tongue, and rather than burn right through, seek an underlying design. This is you unfolding. I mean, come on, just the depth of that. There's a lot to think about there. It makes me think that these are two aspects of myself, and I see a reflection of the different aspects that are slowly integrating or becoming one within me. Or, yeah, I don't even know. The Chariot. And like I say, every little thing, look at the triangle here. There's a lot of symbolism in this deck. There is quite a few references to alchemy. This is the Hermit, sort of resting in the spirit here, I would assume. Like I said, I've not read the entire book. The Wheel of Fortune. And the entire zodiac around, the flames, the sparkles, it looks like maybe water here. It's just amazing. Strength. I mean, what can you say? I don't know if you're seeing these colors like I am, but the colors are actually fairly brilliant. So I hope that's coming through okay. The Hanged One. Now the Hanged One was an interesting card. I'll take a moment for that one. An archaic lineage comes calling. It is your turn to allow control to flood away, not knowing who you are, not knowing who you will be when it returns. The great river rushes through you. You are not alone in this surrender. And everything moves in surprising ways. Ancient memory may return that you have been this way before at another turning of your soul's necessity. Paulina risked being burned at the stake for bringing the queen back to life. She waited 16 years for it to be the right moment, and her only words to the expectant and condemning crowd were, "It is required you to awake your faith." And so the tale of winter becomes the tale of hope. This deck just truly hits in a place. This is death. You see the honeycomb, this sort of barrier, maybe the veil between life and death. The becoming. This is temperance. You see the blending of all these elements here. And a lot of, this devil card. According to legend, somewhere in the regions of Shangri-La, the peacock would eat and transmute the lethal berries into the colors of his tail. So is that changing that devouring, and then that process of that which is being devoured being turned into other. Tears have been falling for years. She does not know the real cause, cannot see what is taking big bites out of her like Viennese pastry. Caught in a configuration of obsession, unrelenting as hail pounding at the window. Caught. And then there's a little section on the peacock, but just, yeah, her mind is entrapped in whatever this obsession is. The Tower, totally consumed by whatever change or transformation, whatever is being broken down inside to be rebuilt. This is the card I saw that made me want to buy the deck. This is the card. This is one of the most powerful Tower cards I think I've seen. If you have a Tower card that you think is powerful, maybe list it in the link below. The Tower card is just, to me, it's a wonderful card because it's that transformation. And I've had a lot of transformations in my life that were painful. But the other side of those transformations have been so worth it. The Star. See the triple moon. The star there. She's holding this sort of garland of stars that seem to be alive. The moon. Look at the owls over here. These blues. The sun. I mean, his chest and hair is on fire. He is the sun, and there's this symbol for the sun. It's just amazing. Judgment. This one I didn't read the story on, but when I see this card as Judgment and I see the natural world, it's like whatever we do that is ethically wrong or morally wrong, and there can be a huge debate on how much of that is, but there are some things that are just so obvious that if anyone did them, regardless, littering, things like that, destroying the earth. But this sort of tells me that someone who does something like that, including myself when I've made mistakes, it throws things out of balance. There's a natural flow, and those wrong turns throw things out of balance. And the judgment is nature, to me, will always find a way to bring things back into balance. And we may not always like the result of that. It could be a tsunami. It could be an earthquake. It could be a rise in temperature. The earth will survive. It'll adjust. But will we be able to? Nature will put everything back in balance the way it needs to. The world. Oh, look at this. I don't know if you can see this. A cup, a sword, a star, and elements. Very cool. Ace of Sparks. Two of Sparks. These are going to be more less in the cave, so to speak, and more symbolic. There'll be a lot of symbolism on here. See zodiac signs, and that's the sort of thing that's right up my alley, because I do like reading about the esoterics, the serpent here, esoteric arts. And there are little things here. Divine song. This is the Three of Sparks. 3 sparks here, passion. So just sort of a Four of Sparks, celebration here. Instead of the 4 with the banners and decorations, they have 4 people actually celebrating. I would assume the 2 there. Okay, I've got to do some more reading. 5 of Sparks. And I'm going to start looking into, what was this name again? Let me just look real quick. There is one, Peter Kingsley's idea. Peter Kingsley, evidently, as I was researching this last night, wrote a book that takes Carl Jung's Red Book and sort of writes it in a way that lends it into the mythic ethos. It's over 800 pages long, and that, as I say, is right up my alley. I am someone that'll pick up a 1,000-page book and read it several times. I mean, you're talking to the guy who read Les Miserables 3 times. So, and I'll probably read it again because I love that book. And I've read War and Peace twice. So I actually prefer, I don't know why, I prefer tomes as opposed to short novels. Maybe I feel like I'm getting more bang for my buck. But I just like going in depth with things. Now, I do not read those quickly. It may take me a while. Dreamer of Sparks, look at her. Love her. Love her hair. Trail of Sparks. And I usually read 3 or 4, maybe 5 books at a time. To me, it's like watching television. What do I feel like delving into for a half hour, 45 minutes? And then if I get tired of that and decide I want to read again later, I can read another book that I've already started. Queen of Sparks. And then look at this king. Now see, we're here back in the courts, and we're back sort of in that cave-ish environment in the mystery. There's so much expression on these faces. Truly a wonderful artist. Ace of Sparks. Spirals. Ace of Spirals. 2 of Spirals. This almost feels like music going up, doesn't it? And then this looks like a little sigil here. Let's say Cross of Matter. Oh, it's another reference to the astrological signs. 3 of Sparks. So this is a deck that I will sit and work with and read with, and it's not one to be rushed, I don't believe. I think it is one that, as I say, will be for introspection, and that could verge on shadow work for me. To me, shadow work is not just dark and heavy in the parts of yourself that you don't like, but even the parts of yourself that you do like. So this is a shadow deck for me because it has this very childlike, joyful feel for me, and this helps me when I'm in a mood where I need gentleness and someone to give me a hug, or I feel like I'm wounded. I'll turn to this deck because it feels like I'm that child that's getting something soothing, and this is soothing for me. And then this reminds me of my childhood. This reminds me of the good aspects of earlier years of my life. And to me, that's shadow work as well. So I think it's looking inward at yourself and accepting all the different parts of you and integrating them into a one whole self. And I think that's huge. Not putting on a face for friends, not putting on a face for work, not putting on and that doesn't have to do with how we speak or demeanor. That has to do with, are we the same person every single moment of the day, regardless of who we're with and where we're at? And that to me is a shadow work, that integrate the whole, integrate those personalities that have developed for some reason, the parts we like, the parts we don't like, the bad habits, the good habits, and embracing all of it, because that is who we are. Doesn't mean we can't change, but if we want to change any aspect of ourselves, we have to first acknowledge it and embrace it. And then it can metamorphosize. And this is what this deck, I think, will help me continue to do, as I have done for probably 20 years when I've gotten serious about it. And that process has been through therapy, group work, intense weekends, a lot of good experiences. Just a lot of good experiences. Look at this. King of Spirals. There's a very Cernunos feel about it, I think. Sort of like that forest god king feel. Ace of Wings. I like how, if you notice, I think all the aces have been sort of blindfolded because they're just the beginning. They don't see what's there yet. Still in the mystery. Still becoming. Alchemy of Opposites. The Two of Wings. And it's going to be hard to show all these things in here. Let me see if I can make it zoom in a little bit better. Yeah, see, it's got a lot of... So just a lot to reflect on there. Just a lot to reflect on. But it's not as complicated as, what's the other one? Hexa 2.0, 5.0. It's not nearly as complicated as that. I don't have that deck. I've thought about buying it several times, and I just don't know if I have the desire to sit with it long enough to understand what each card is telling me. I like a card that has a lot in it. I like a card that has on this one. So Four of Wings. The Eye of Ra is the Eye of the Falcon. I love that. The visual. But this one I could sit with, and I can go through and look at a card for a little while, and get what I need out of it. And each time I go back, I might see a little bit something else. And I think that's what's nice about a deck like this, because it will cause me to still read, investigate, learn, sit with, see things new. Whereas the Hexa, I love the anytime I see the images, I'm like, oh, that is such a wonderful deck. I should get it. And then I stop myself because I'm like, but would I sit with it? Is it too much? Is it too overstimulating for me? And I do have to be careful with that because I have so many things I enjoy doing, and I do have ADHD. And I will start one. I probably have 5 projects going now, and have I ever finished any of them? Probably not. And that's very typical. But I love all the things I do. I find them very peaceful and relaxing. This is the Ten of Wings, and it says, too much mist. Too much mist inside. Okay, so that is one I will need to get my magnifying glass out and read. It's clearly printed. I can see it's written very neatly. I just need my magnifying glass, but that'd be one I'd do my magnifying glass with. But there's a lot of information coming in. You can tell that right here. Dreamer of Wings. The dreamer, as we've said before, is in the cave. Trail of Wings. Beautiful. Dark Stars. Queen of Wings. The blues, once again. The blues and the blacks. Very beautiful. And the King of Wings. Once again, more earth colors. Hummingbird. Beautiful. Ace of Coral. Two of Coral. Two angelfish. Another reference to the zodiac. 3. And there is some discussion of correspondences in the book. It's not heavy, like I say, it's only 40 pages, and each description is like a little story, and some of them are quite poetic. But what she has put in the guidebook in 40 pages is more. And when I actually emailed her on her website yesterday, and I told her how beautiful the cards were, how much I love them, but also to commend the work that has been done on that guidebook. And I said something to her like, she has written, as a very few people can say as much as you conveyed in as few words as you used. And it's true. There are not a lot of words. It's 40 pages for 78 cards. But what is said is beautiful, powerful, direct. 7 of Coral. 8 of Coral. Beautiful. 9 of Coral. That's a beautiful card. 10 of Coral. The blues again. She did such a beautiful. On the cards that have the blues, I swear they're beautiful. They're just they hit me. And Dreamer of Coral. Of course, Cups. But the Moon. She's bathing the cat. Some reference there. It's beautiful. Trail of Coral. The Queen of Coral. And the King of Coral. So this is, let me show you the bag real quick, because it really is just amazing. Like I say, it's nice linen. It feels like linen. It's nice, but it fits so perfectly. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? And I've said this on the last 3 videos, I think. I'm not a pouch person, but Simon from the Hermit's Cave sent me one in our deck trade. And then Marilyn from Marilyn's Tarot Tape, when we did a swap, she sent me one. And now I've gotten one with this deck. So, as I said, I think how I'm going to use them is when I'm using them out of the box, I will keep them in the pouch, because I really like that idea. And then when I'm not using them, to go back in the box to put up. But this is the Pholarcos Tarot by Carmen Sorrenti. She does have a website. I don't think it's listed here. I just typed her. Oh yeah, carmensorrenti.com. I think I just put her name in the browser and it pulled it right up. It wasn't a problem. So have a good night, and I'll see you soon. Take care.